Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to our story time. Hi, Boomer. I see you have a new collar.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yes, you do. I see that.
Yeah, I'm an all-powerful dog. I'm the most strongest dog in the whole universe.
Boomer, what are you talking about?
Oh, and I'm gonna take on the neighbor's bulldog this afternoon.
What?
Yeah, I am.
What do you mean you're all powerful? Sometimes new clothes or new shoes or maybe even a new collar would make you feel good, but it doesn't give you power.
Oh, yes, it does. I'm an ultra guard dog.
What are you talking about?
Oh, my family, they read the box that the collar came in,
Yes.
and it said that it was an ultra guard dog flea something.
Flea something? It's a flea collar, Boomer.
A what?
A flea collar. They put it on dogs to rid them of fleas and ticks, that bite you.
Oh, yeah. And it makes me an ultra guard dog.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, yes, it does. And I'm gonna take on that bulldog.
You mean Phoenix, the neighbor's bulldog?
Oh, yeah, I can take him on.
He's a guard dog. You wouldn't stand a chance against him. He outweighs you at least 3 times.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. Boomer, that is a powerful collar against fleas and ticks. It's potent. That means it's powerful. But it will not help you fight against a bulldog.
It won't?
No.
It won't make me all powerful?
No, it won't make you all powerful. I'm sorry, but it doesn't.
Oh, dear. But I wanted to have a dog fight today.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, because I don't think it would have ended up very well. Speaking of the word all-powerful,
Yeah.
do you know that there is someone who is all-powerful?
Is it Phoenix the bulldog?
No, it's not. It's God. God is all-powerful.
He is? Like Superman?
Well, in our story today, taken from 2 Kings chapter 6, we find out that God showed his power to a lot of people, to the whole nation of Israel, through a man named Elijah, a man who served God.
He did? How'd he do that?
Well, you see, the people of Israel at that time, they weren't worshiping God. They started to worship idols. Baal.
Who's that?
Oh, that's an idol they worshipped. It wasn't the true God. And because of it, it made God very sad. And God wanted them to turn their hearts back to him, to want to follow him and obey him, because he tells us not to serve or worship anyone else but him. So he told Elijah to go to the king of Israel, King Ahab, and his wife, Queen Jezebel, and to give them a message that for the next 3.5 years there would be no water, no rain.
Oh, dear. There'd be no puddles to drink from.
Oh, there would be no water. The water would dry up in the rivers even. And because there'd be no water, there would be a famine. That means the crops wouldn't grow. There would be no grain, no vegetables. The trees would die. And sad to say, many of the animals and even some of the people would die because they didn't have enough water.
Oh, that's not good.
No, it isn't good. For 3.5 years, that's what was going to happen. And during that time, Queen Jezebel, she was so angry with Elijah for what he had done to Israel, telling them that they'd have no rain. She even wanted to seek for his life, but God hid him so that they couldn't find him. And she went after some of the prophets of God, trying to kill them. Things were getting really desperate. But after the 3.5 years, had been fulfilled, the time was up, God sent Elijah to King Ahab with a message.
Oh, what was his message?
Well, he told him, King Ahab, you're the one who troubles Israel. You have turned from following God to worshiping idols.
Oh, dear.
And then he said, I want you to gather the 450 prophets of Baal and go up to Mount Carmel and bring all of Israel with you, and I will meet you there.
Oh, did he do it? What was Elijah going to do?
Well, you're going to see. So King Ahab did as Elijah asked him to. He brought the prophets of Baal up on top of that mountain, and all the people of Israel joined him, and Elijah came up there. And when everyone had gathered, then Elijah said with a loud voice, he said, how long are you going to try to serve God and Baal? If the Lord is God, serve him. But if it's Baal, then serve Baal. Choose you this day whom you're going to serve. And then he said, we're going to have a contest. And everybody listened quietly as Elijah explained how this contest was going to work. He said the prophets of Baal are going to build an altar. And on that altar they'll put wood. And they'll kill a bull and put that on top of the altar. And then they're going to call on their God. They're going to pray to their God. And the God who answers by fire sends fire from heaven and lights that sacrifice. That will be the true God.
Oh, was Elijah going to do it too?
Yeah, but he was going to let the prophets of Baal go first.
Well, what happened? I want to know.
Well, the people waited. I'm sure they were so excited in anticipation, wondering what was going to happen as the prophets built their altar and they put the wood on top and the bull on top. And then they cried out to their God, "Oh, Baal, hear us." But there was no answer. Baal didn't answer. So after a while, they started to get up on top of the altar and dance on the altar. And they screamed with loud voices, "Oh, Baal, hear us! Oh, Baal, hear us!" You know, around noontime, nothing had happened. And Elijah started to tease them. And he says, maybe your God is on a journey, or maybe he's sleeping. Yell louder. You know, after a while, they got pretty desperate. They started to cut themselves.
Well, that's not good.
No, it wasn't good. But nothing happened. You know, it was almost evening when Elijah said, "Okay, it's my turn."
Well, what did Elijah do?
Well, everybody watched. I'm sure they were tired from waiting all day for the prophets of Baal to call on their God for fire, and nothing happened. And now they waited. And they saw Elijah build his altar out of 12 stones, and then he laid wood on it, and he killed a bull, and he laid that on the altar.
And then he prayed?
No, wait a minute. Then he dug a ditch around the altar. And then he called for 12 buckets of water to be poured over the altar.
Oh no, silly Elijah.
Why do you call him silly?
Well, wet wood doesn't burn.
Oh, that wasn't silly. You see, Elijah wanted the people to know that he wasn't playing any tricks. Even though the wood was wet, he knew that his God could answer. So not only did the water cover the bowl and the wood, but it even filled up the little ditch that he had dug around the outside of the altar. And then after all that is done, Elijah prays aloud in front of all the people because he called all the people close to him so they could hear. And this is what he prays.
Oh, I want to hear it.
He says, "Hear me, O Lord. Hear me, that this people may know that you have turned their hearts back to you."
Is that it?
That's it.
Then he didn't even ask for fire.
No, he didn't. But as soon as he had finished praying, guess what happened?
I have no idea.
God sent fire from heaven. And it fell on that altar, and it burned up the bull, and it burned up the wood.
The wet wood?
Yes, and it burned up the stones.
Wait a minute, fire can't do that.
But it did. And it licked up the water in the trench, the little ditch around the altar.
But water puts out fire.
But it burnt it all up.
Oh, that's a mighty God.
It is a mighty God. And you know what the people did? Boomer, they could hardly believe their eyes. They saw how mighty, all-powerful God was, and they fell on their knees. And they said, "The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God." That day, the people of Israel turned to the one true God. They saw how powerful He was. He answered Elijah's prayer.
Oh, He is a mighty God.
Yes, and you know what? These next few weeks we're going to be looking at some of the attributes or ways to describe God. And the first one is that we're looking at is God is all-powerful. You know, boys and girls, God answers prayer. And He is all-powerful, and He is in control, and we have nothing to fear. I hope, boys and girls, when you're afraid, that you'll trust in Him. Call on Him. He is ready to answer your prayers. Well, Boomer, what do you say to the boys and girls?
Oh, bye, boys and girls. Can I go find a mud puddle to lick?
I don't know if you can or not. Bye, boys and girls, and thanks for joining us.
I gotta go find that bulldog.
Yeah, maybe later.